we are on YouTube. We've got the three of us again. And is this a matcha chat? Danielle, would you consider this a matcha chat?
We can title it that, but I don't have any matcha, but I do have a new glass.
Ooh,
it's cute.
Yeah.
Avocados. That's adorable.
Thank you.
Don't you have an avocado pillow as well?
Yes, it's in the other bedroom.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so today we're going to talk about dining out. We do get asked about this. I feel like most of our patients ask us about this at some point because it is tricky territory for someone with IBD and a lot of people that have overlapping things like celiac. This would be another consideration when you want to be able to consider restaurants that are safe and find that middle road between safety and living and making choices that are good for you and your family. And can be tough to make those choices sometimes. Yeah. So do you do anything ahead of time to make sure you have a restaurant that you have choices at that you feel safe eating?
When it comes to me and dining out, I do it rarely from a budget standpoint and because I think my husband and I are pretty decent home chefs. So
it's expensive these days.
Yeah. Why would I not make my own beautiful creation at home and know that I can control more of the outcome? So that is what I choose to do most of the time. But when I am dining out, I usually like to pick an exciting spot or an experience when I'm able to. This isn't always applicable when I'm traveling, and maybe we talk about that later. But when I have full control over it, it's usually somewhere cute and aesthetic, if you will, and has like good dietary reviews. I always scope out the menu beforehand because for myself, if you don't know, I also have celiac disease and Crohn's. So I have to ensure that things are gluten-free as well. So I'm looking for those on the menu. And sometimes I do call ahead to the restaurant or I look at Facebook forums because sometimes, not all the times, I take those with a grain of salt over recommendations on Facebook forums too around certain restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just like initial thoughts.
Yeah. I feel like the same for us over here. It's rare from a budget standpoint. And if you don't know, we're a family of 6. So we've got 4 kiddos and it's expensive and it's a lot. And half the time they're not eating anything. Or if they do, they're not eating the way that you would anticipate, or they choose not to like it and whatever. So it's rare that we go out to, and we're in kind of I would say a not super fun area for food. So we would have to drive pretty far to have an experience. And I know the menus well, in my area, and none of us have celiac, so we don't have to be as I don't need to find a very specific kitchen that doesn't have cross-contamination and things like that. But I do know the menus pretty well, and I know like what we will typically eat, and then be just things that will like help me feel good. So obviously, I'm going to try and choose those as often as I can. Sometimes it's not always. I don't take the precedence in the family all the time, right? Like we're having to manage everyone. So usually it's me just kind of figuring out what will make me feel fine, like at least okay. But I agree with you that like I like to have that control in my own home, and I can more easily cater to everyone's preferences and needs when I can make it at home. So very infrequent that we're dining out, but when I do try to like at least know what's coming and know kind of what I'm gonna order for everyone.
How often do you guys dine out?
Maybe like once a month, if that. Maybe like once bi-monthly, every 2 months.
Yeah,
it depends.
We're probably once every. It's summer now, so sometimes it might be more than this, but usually like once every couple of weeks we'll go out, unless we're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, traveling does change that quite a bit. Yeah, I'd say we're probably very infrequent unless we're celebrating something or traveling. And when we travel to Austin, probably about every month. And so when we're out in Austin, we're typically eating out. And when we go out, we're both, my sister and I, we've never been tested for celiac, but we have pretty strong reactions to gluten. So we're always looking for gluten-free, and all three of us sisters, we all have issues with gluten and dairy, like more like allergic type responses. And then one of my sisters has like also has like soy and apple or her allergies. So we have a lot of things to navigate when we go out, especially when we're out in Austin. So we've gotten used to it though. I think after a while, you kind of get used to navigating that and knowing what questions to ask. But I mean, the thing that I'm always keeping in mind and is that sometimes you're still going to get exposure to something and you can only do so much. You can ask the questions, but there's always a risk with eating out and allergies that, sometimes you just have to make the best choices for you, but know that it could happen. But
I feel like maybe we're talking about it calmly right now, but it does not always stay that way. I actually am going to Prince Edward Island soon, and we do this every year. And every year I know there's not a lot for me to eat around there. And every year I get upset about it. And I kind of prepare myself, but I know I can do more prep for it when it comes to the gluten-free side of things. And this year, because we're going next week, I'm making sure I'm prepared so I'm not upset that there's nothing around me, because it is a frustrating thing to not have anything around because you get hangry, you're upset at the situation in general, and it's just not a fun time until you get food again and then you're not hangry.
Yeah, I agree with you. It can be frustrating. It's that the normal experience isn't accessible.
Mm.
I experienced this frustration when I was traveling overseas, and I've gone to like Australia and Europe and felt so comfortable eating out. There's so many options, even flying, even the airlines had better, they can easily accommodate stuff. And so I think here I started to notice there's like a gap with knowledge about allergies and like how to navigate that successfully in the US. And compared to other countries, sometimes it can be a little harder to navigate here. So it is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was telling you, Danielle, that the other day I had been dealing with nausea for like a really long time and didn't know what it was, and was going to do an MRI and everything, and then discovered that this chocolate that I've been having for a long time, they changed their recipe. So it was like a milk chocolate now. So I felt so bad. And I was like, why am I feeling so bad? And yeah, then I realized, even as a dietitian, it's because they changed the formula, and, you buy your safe things that you think are totally okay. And then you're like, oh no, I've been doing that to myself every day.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can laugh about it now, Ashley.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because your mind goes so many directions when you're trying to figure out something like that, because you're like, I thought I was in a flare, so I ran a fecal cal, and my fecal cal was normal, and I was like, well, I don't know. And then I thought maybe it's my car, or maybe car sick, because it is a bumpier car, like it doesn't have a lot of stability. Maybe it's that, because every time I'm in a car I get sick. So it's just wild, like, sometimes your mind goes to these far places thinking that it must be something huge, and then it's something small that you just didn't see.
Right under your nose, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, back to dining out.
I'm curious, Ashley, with all those, there's just a lot that you mentioned you guys having to navigate. Are your kind of the steps that you take, is it the same kind of like check out a menu beforehand, have a couple of places that seem like they're conducive to what you need, and when you get in the situation, then you're asking further questions, or how do you navigate that?
Yeah, at this point I'll have places that I know are like, I'm good here. I know that I'll find stuff. And I would say sushi is another thing that, like, sushi, I can generally do most everything. A lot of them will cater to gluten-free too. So, usually don't have an issue with that. But if I'm someplace new, it's a new restaurant, then I'm looking at the menu ahead of time. I'm calling, I'm talking through stuff a little bit differently.
Yeah. I feel like both of you, that would really impact from a budget standpoint too, because I feel like I have a little bit more leniency as to where we can go. But I don't know, would you say the same?
Yeah. The gluten-free tax.
I mean, yeah, like they're always more expensive.
Yeah. I can think of this one brunch place that I usually like to go to, and I'll maybe get eggs Benedict occasionally. So then you pay what, $4 or $5 extra for the gluten-free toast, and then I can't have the hash browns. So then it's like, oh, $4 or $5 for the fresh fruit. It's like, great. Now my breakfast is like $30, and I could have made this at home for like $4.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Like you guys were mentioning, just wanting to have an experience. If you're going to pay the money to go out and have an experience, like I'm the same way. I'm like, it's really not worth it to pay $100 and us be like, yeah, I can make that at home. And so I find even in our home cooking, I do a lot of experimenting, or I do a lot of world cuisines, because I'm like, this is just getting boring. And I try to bring in the experience at home. But anyway, I agree that like if you're going to do it and you're going to pay the money, you might as well have fun.
I don't know if you have ever seen this on Chris's stories, but I was really interested in whatever you were doing the past year, where it seemed like every week you were doing some kind of like themed dinner. And I was so impressed. She's like mom of the year for this.
My kids, it's so funny. What was it? It was like 2 days ago. They were like, Mom, are you gonna do that again? That was the best thing ever. And it's so funny because I was just in a really tough like mental spot. Like we were newly postpartum with the fourth baby, and I was in the muck of all of that. And I was like, I just need some joy in my life. I need everyone to like get along and rally around something. And so this was my effort to do that. So we did dinner and a movie in the fall every Friday night, and I chose the movie and the menu. So I created a menu to go with whatever movie, and then I sealed them in envelopes, and no one knew what they were. And I had one kid open the envelope every, Thursday night, and so they knew what was coming for Friday, and then I could prep the menu, and they loved it. It was so fun. And then you just get to do all kinds of different cuisines based on the movie and be creative. And we all got to watch it together, and nobody could complain because that was on the menu and that's what it was. And they loved it. They were like, can we do it again? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
I want to do that.
I know.
Do it for your family. Sweet.
Yeah.
Me and Brian will base it off of Disney movies or something.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I loved it.
We'll share the menus, Krista.
I will. I have a running tab. I've kept them all because I feel like we're going to maybe want to do this again.
That's
amazing. Yeah, that's super cool.
I saw one where it was like hibachi night or something, and there was like they brought out they had a hibachi hat. They were like cutting veggies and throwing it on the grill, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like they remembered the desserts a lot. One night we did Monsters Inc. one night, and we made cake balls, and we made them into Mike Wazowski, and so he was the one-eyed monster. And that's what they were like, can we have those again?
That's cute.
That's very cute. Yeah.
So we can make our own experiences. Yeah.
Wow.
Krista, what I really like that you said about that too, which I feel gets forgotten about in IBD, is that one, it was an experience, but people had fun with food. And that's always my hope and passion behind working with people too, that we can eventually get to that spot again.
Yeah. And everything is modifiable. I was talking with a patient this morning actually, and she was in that zone of just things are boring, and I'm tired of eating this same way, and she was post-op, and so we were kind of limited, and we acknowledged that, but we were also like, we can still enjoy the fact that you do have a greater quality of life, and we can have XYZ if we kind of change the particle size, or, we puree it and mash it, and then we can add in different things, and then we can slowly increase our way to having more texture and things like that. So you're right, we can add in fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is such an important part. That, and I really like it when I can get our patients like into the kitchen, like connected to food more. It's one thing to take something out really quick, and it's another thing to spend some time with it and learn to enjoy the process and learn to take space and time to, there's something very mindful or meditative even about cooking, just very grounding. And so I
Yeah.
love it when we can get our patients even into that mindset of feeling more connected to their food.
That makes me think of, even with the dining out aspect, I don't know if you guys do this, but if you're out and you find something that is really yummy, and also you feel like it's tolerable, you really enjoy the whole experience and it makes you feel good, do you guys then try to recreate that later?
I always think about it, but then I have not actually ever done it. I've done it with some of the viral recipes, but
Yeah.
menus, but it's one of those things that I often think about, Krista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend, that tends to be my interest when I find something, is like kind of breaking it down and trying to recreate or modify, or I mean, this is how we got into making a cookbook, like
That's
just,
true.
that's what we do. But what I really love is really good quality sushi, where I went to this place called Uchiba. Have you heard of Uchi?
Oh.
I I've had a lot of sushi lately, and I went to Uchiba this weekend, and they made these really just great nigiri, the rice with the premium fish, so good. So I don't recreate that, but can do most of them. I have thought about it though.
When you are dining out, is there something where you're like, I gotta get that, I'm craving that? Is there something that you always gravitate towards, or something you like to aim for specifically?
When you're dining out?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
You know, how some restaurants are maybe known for certain dishes. Is there a dish somewhere that you're like, oh yeah, their tofu thing is the greatest? For those who don't know, I'm learning to like tofu. I'm not on the like side yet, but that's why I say tofu thing. But does that make more sense as a question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always find,
Mhm.
bowls where you have your rice and your veggies and your tofu or salmon or something. I always like that.
Yeah.
Good go to.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm always drawn to the fish dishes. My family, my kids make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, I know what mom's gonna order," and that's usually what. And I'll try, to share with the kids that like that. And I do. I usually really like the bowl situations too, that are really veggie heavy and have a lot of grains. I just like that, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the kind of like Mexican inspired bowls or like
Mm,
tacos, that kind of thing too.
yeah.
Um, but this is something that we haven't talked about yet on here, is that, yes, as dietitians and people with IBD, we do like to prioritize our health, and we like to eat what makes us feel good inside. And hopefully 24 hours later, we feel good inside too. But for myself, when I dine out, that's not always my 100% goal. What I mean by
Mm,
that is sometimes I will seek, maybe I'll call it like some normalcy, and wanting to have exactly what I'm craving. So, for an example, there is a restaurant here that does a really good gluten-free chicken sandwich. And it reminds me of the days when I was a teenager, when I used to eat McDonald's McChicken. And that's what it kind of tastes like. So, can I tell you the last time I had it? Maybe 2 years ago.
yeah.
But will I have it this year? Maybe. I can't say I'm
Yeah.
exactly craving it. But what I'm saying is sometimes I choose the food that, in 24 hours, maybe I won't feel the greatest, but I'm going to enjoy it in that moment, move on. Usually earlier in that day, I'll make sure that I optimize my nutrition in another way too, with adding some veggies in or soluble fibers to help slow down my bowels, because, you know, deep fried food will speed things up for me. But like I said, it's not something that I do often, but I do have it in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I have the same experiences that I'm like, well, it's worth it. Obviously, probably thinking about serving size in that moment too, and just being like, I don't want to be miserable, but I do want to have this experience. And so, I will often do that. Maybe it's a like a wonderful burger that I like never get, or something like that, and I might share it, or have half of it with one of my kiddos or something, and really enjoy that experience, and also be mindful of like my symptoms.
Yeah.
I was pretty adventurous this weekend in Austin, and I definitely had some like tummy aches after. But one thing I try to remind myself about too is just like, generally I'll feel better the next day. I'll start back to your normal thing. You get a little extra hour of sleep, take your chamomile tea or something to settle at night, and like generally I feel better the next day. It's not like not a forever thing. You're not gonna like cause harm one time from doing something one time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes. Those are our experiences and a couple tips about what to do with dining out. Thanks for being here today.